Jess, can we please take a break? 15 minutes, okay? I'll go grab some Oreos. Our favorite! Ugh, I hate chemistry. And it doesn't like me either. The only thing I know is that cafe has 2 chemical elements in it. Calcium and iron. My parents are freaking out that I'll fail it. I don't know why. I mean, it's not like I want to be a scientist or anything. Anyway, they asked Jessie to tutor me. Currently, my grade's still lingering around the F mark, but there's no way I'm finding a new tutor. Why, you ask? Well, because Jess and I are the perfect match. We're both addicted to online shopping and love to read about the latest scandals to hit social media. And that quickly turned us into best friends. And this is my ABCDEFGH boyfriend, Bryce, which means attractive, brilliant, cute, darling, elegant, funny, gorgeous, and hot. I love him. So, you're probably wondering how I met such an awesome college boy. Well, it's all thanks to Jess, really. As turns out, she's one heck of a wingwoman. So, one time during the break, Jess was looking up her college forums when I spotted Bryce in one post. Wow, that's a hottie! You know him, Jess? I pointed at the post. She then replied, "He's so your type, right?" That's Bryce. I heard he's still single. Go for it. I'll get your back. Oh, that sounds interesting. I grinned back. After that, Jessie went into full-on detective mode. After only 10 minutes, she'd found what block he lived on, what he's majoring in, and even the name of his pet dog. And since then, she instructed me on how to text, reply to, and flirt with him. Cool, calm, and collected. It worked a treat, as by the end of the week, he'd asked me out on a date, and now he's my dreamy BF. He might look like the bad boy type, but underneath it all, he's sweet and shy, just like Edward Cullen. Aww. And guess what? We've been together for 2 months, and, we haven't kissed yet. But, so, how's it going with you and that hot college boy of yours? I don't know. It's just recently, I feel like he's being cold with me. Jess, I know he's read my messages, but he still takes ages to reply. And he never texts me goodnight anymore. Not like before. I'm trying. I mean, he seems happy with the pair of Jordan 4s and the new phone I bought him, but I'm not sure if he wants to be with me anymore. Course he does, girl. You're a catch. He's probably just busy with his studies. I'm afraid he's cheating on me. You know, there's this Sally girl in Bryce's class. I often see that chick following him around, acting all friendly and making excuses to ask him to do stuff for her. Ugh! Don't be silly. I bet they're just friends. This girl needed to watch out, as I wasn't going to let her just waltz in and steal my man. I slammed on the table. Seeing how frazzled I was, Jessie made a suggestion. We would take it in turns to follow Bryce wherever he went and find out exactly what he was up to. A few days later, I overheard Bryce on his phone talking about his study group at his house. Annoying Sally would be there too, of course. So, being the bright spark I am, I paid the pizza delivery guy to attach a microphone inside the pizza to spy on him. But, the only thing I heard was Bryce's hungry stomach. Yuck! Another time Jessie texted me. Urgent. Saw Bryce in a jewelry shop buying an expensive necklace. Must be for Sally. Sorry. Fuming, I power walked the 20 blocks to his house. But his mom answered the door and proudly showed off the sparkly necklace Bryce had bought her for her birthday. Oops. Then, on one of my days to follow him, I decided to go in disguise. The problem being, it was 28 degrees, so my choice of Sherlock Holmes outfit and fake beard wasn't the best idea. I'd just followed him into a grocery store when the world began to black out, and I tumbled straight into a display of cans. The last thing I saw was a group of people leaning over me, including a confused-looking Bryce. Babe, you're awake, but why the freaky costume? I sighed, then replied, "I'm sorry. It's just you've been so distant recently. Don't you like me anymore?" He chuckled. "Maddie, of course. I'm just busy with my graduation thesis. You know, I'm in my final year." Aha! So we were all good. Yay! So the next day, I bought us a set of those seriously cute couples rings from Tiffany & Co. to mark this. Peace was restored. At least for a short time. Lately, whenever we went out on a date, Bryce didn't pay attention to my words anymore and just had his eyes glued to his phone screen. Oof! He even chuckled and had this suspect twinkle in his eyes. So I tried leaning over him to see what was so funny, but I couldn't see a thing, as his screen brightness was lowered to the minimum. "What are you doing?" I snatched his phone. But what? Wrong password. I bought him this and set the password as our anniversary. Why won't you let me look at your phone? What are you hiding? "Nothing, Mads. I just like my privacy sometimes, that's all. Now, come on, baby boo. I'll get you a chocolate muffin." There's no way I was turning that down, especially as thinking about it, it's the only thing he'd ever bought for me. But as I nibbled on my muffin and watched him transfixed on his phone, I couldn't shake away the feeling that something was wrong. I couldn't drag Jessie into this mission, as her studies were occupying her attention at the moment. It's okay. I can solo it. And this time, I won't faint. I swear. I did my research and found the perfect spy software. I know, I don't normally condone this sort of behavior, but Bryce was hiding something, and I needed to find out what it was. The software was simple to use. I just had to find a way to install it on Bryce's phone. The app itself could be hidden, leaving me free to read his messages without him ever finding out. Perfect! Mission 1. How to install that software on Bryce's phone in a really short time? This is not an easy task, as Bryce is so obsessed with his phone, he even sleeps with it. On a few occasions, he does move away from it, but it's for a few minutes max, meaning I needed to move fast. It took me a whole day of practicing to beat the 3-minute mark. I tried it over and over on 4 different phones and at different times of the day to make sure it'd work under any circumstance. By the end of it, I couldn't bend my fingers. Ouch! Mission 1 done. Successfully trained even under time pressure. Mission number 2, detect his passcode. I didn't know what his dumb passcode was, only that it certainly wasn't our anniversary. We went to the cafe and, as usual, he was stuck on his phone. So I held up mine, pretended to be playing games, but actually turned on the camera and started recording so I could track the position of his fingers later when typing the passcode. It took hours. Literally. Bryce eventually gave his phone a break to order some snacks, so after that, he had to unlock his phone again. Phew! Finally, after an hour-long video, I've gotten the footage I needed. Okay, Detective Maddie, ready, set, go. I rewatched the video and started analyzing it as soon as I got home. I stared at the screen with my eyes, following Bryce's hand movements. He could be fast, but honey, your girl is already a step ahead. It didn't take long till I figured out the digits. Easy peasy. Mission 3. Action. What better way than a lovely picnic to complete my quest? And as expected, Bryce just sat there, phone in hand, the whole time. Ugh. I wasn't even sure on how I could carry out this task anymore, but I told myself that the time would surely come. After a few hours, he was bored to death, and without even looking at me, he grumbled, "Babe, let's just go home." I immediately shouted out, "No! Not until it's so nice out here. I want to stay a little longer. You just take a nap." "Fine. Wake me up when you're ready." I waited patiently for him to fall asleep. He was making these light snore sounds. Ugh, cute. I was so nervous. I bit down on my bottom lip as I gently pulled his phone out of his pocket. Then I turned my back to him and typed in the passcode with my shaky hands. And I was in! Yeah! I was so happy that I almost forgot and screamed. I did it all in record time. But he suddenly turned around. "What you doing, Maddie? Can we go home now?" He yawned. OMG. My heart stopped. Oh, just a few more minutes. I'm editing the cute pics we took." "Well, hurry up." Phew, that was a close one. I grabbed my phone to check if it worked, then I turned on the silent mode ASAP, but it still woke him up the second time. As much as I wanted to snoop through his messages, I knew they'd have to wait, so we went home. Ugh! Talk about girl message overload. There were dozens, all of them craftily saved under names such as Monitor and Professor. He'd even used my pickup line on some of them. "Are you made of copper and tellurium? Because you're cute." Ew! Then I suddenly spotted a familiar face. Jessie? What? My bestie was secretly dating my BF? My heart sunk. This sucked. It didn't make any sense. If Jessie liked Bryce from the start, then why had she encouraged me to flirt with him? Jeez, the messages between them went way back. Then I saw one that broke my heart all over again. "Maddie's family is loaded. Baby, let's pretend to be her BF, and she'll buy you whatever you want. Just don't take it further." So that explained his shyness, why he hardly looked at me, and why after 2 months of dating he hadn't tried to kiss me. Then a recent message from Bryce to Jessie caught my eye. "She's so boring. I got us enough money now, so gonna dump her next week." How dare they? Only, unbeknownst to Jessie, Bryce had dozens of girls on the go. Actually, he was meeting this girl called Tiffany at the movies tomorrow night. It was time to get revenge. So pretending to be Bryce, I texted all of the girls, including Jessie, to come to the cinema at 8 p.m. tomorrow. I borrowed my dad's baseball cap, wore my oversized sunglasses, and arrived there early, so I didn't miss the show. I even bought some popcorn and a Coke, as I wanted refreshments to watch this blockbuster. Then, at 8 p.m. sharp, Bryce strolled over, and boom! The girls arrived one by one, figured out what was going on, and started arguing with him and each other. Tiffany threw her popcorn over his head. Hilarious! And another girl called him a jerk and whacked him with her handbag, while the others were shouting and pulling his hair. And me? Well, I lurked in the background and secretly filmed it all. "Oh, sweetheart, you're so dead!" Wow, Jessie, our main character, has appeared. She took one look at the circus going on in front of her and instantly looked like a lion ready to pounce. She stormed up to Bryce, pinched his ears, and dragged him while in a high-pitched voice he said, "Ouch! Ouch, Jess! It's you who taught me all of this. I'll call you later, babes." When these two almost passed me, I pulled off the cap and shades and jumped out at them. Voila! Could someone come and help me pick up their jaws from the floor? Couldn't expect Maddie the mastermind, huh? I didn't stick around for their explanations. Instead, I shimmied off. But I did send her a little souvenir. Jessie is my best friend, so I have to share anything interesting with her, right? Have a good night, my bestie, and my ABCDEFGH boyfriend, you too. But let me add the IJK. I'm just kidding. Yeah, as for me, I've decided to give my heart a break for a while, as this has taught me a priceless lesson. Don't be smitten with handsome boys. Oh, and be wary of sneaky so-called besties. Long idling hours in class finally came to an end. Time to go home and chill. Huh? Are those thugs threatening a girl? Picking on the weak? Such cowards. Oops, she saw me. Now they're all looking at me. As a Muay Thai prodigy, I most definitely will run as fast as I can from danger. It's not me. My legs have a mind of their own. Besides, I stood no chance against those big, scary guys. I might get myself hurt if I tried to help. Then she'd call me a jumpy idiot. Yet some part of me still wished I could do something. While I was pondering from afar, a guy charged at them out of nowhere, then knocked them all out. Looked like he knew martial arts. Like me. I'm Jamie, by the way, and my story's absolutely normal. Please like and subscribe. I didn't expect to see my dad home this early.
Sweetie, you're back already. How's your day?
Hi, Dad. All good. It's been just me and my dad since my mom passed away when I was little. He's the best dad I could ask for, but he's shunned by this entire town. He's one of the firefighters who reported to a tragic fire accident around a year ago. They managed to save many lives, but unfortunately there were casualties. After that, the fire department became the town's scapegoat just because they couldn't save everyone. However, I could see better than anyone how much my father had sacrificed. He always covered up his left arm and told me not to tell anybody about it. He considered it part of his job and still felt guilty about that tragedy. More importantly, he taught me to be willing to help others no matter what. Little Jamie did listen to him and was always helpful, but no matter how hard we tried, we still had to endure the townsfolk's woulda, coulda, shoulda nonsense. So I now live by my own rule. Don't be a hero. Hey, it helped Jesse Eisenberg's character survive Zombieland, so it'd surely get me through my life. And so the happy little girl now wears a permanent scowl on her face like her armor. Thanks to my tough exterior, no one would ever pick a fight with me or speak badly about me, at least not to my face. Side effects included having no friends, getting pushed around by teachers, and being brushed off most of the time. You know, the usual cold shoulder. The next day, I was enjoying a good old boring normal day when I suddenly was summoned to the principal's office. For bullying a fellow student? What? Turns out, the damsel in distress yesterday, Betty, reported everything to the principal while conveniently placing me in that gang. I tried explaining myself, but my efforts seemed to be futile.
Can't say I'm surprised. Like father, like daughter, I am seriously concerned about my students' safety, especially since street violence reigns in this area lately. Such terrible behavior is even more serious coming from you than those imbeciles.
Good heavens, I hadn't even touched a single strand of hair on anyone's head. Poof, she obviously is blaming me simply because I didn't help. But speaking the truth would be like adding fuel to the fire.
I believe the proper punishment for you is immediate suspension for 2 weeks.
No, sir, I can't be their accomplice because I was gonna start a self-defense club for girls. Just like you, I worry a great deal about multiple attacks recently. Therefore, I want to help them be prepared. I was trying to recruit Betty, but she was surrounded by so many of them while I was all alone. That's like fighting a losing battle. I actually ran away so I could, report them to you. Betty must have mistaken me for one of them. My gibberish speech went on for a good while before he finally let me go. I had to bluff my way through his many questions. Where does the club take place? When? How many members? And since he said he'd come by sometimes, I actually had to create a self-defense club and begin recruiting. The first day of the club, only a few girls came. Fine, I don't have much care for this stuff anyway. It's merely an excuse for me to be let off the hook. I grabbed the 2 tallest girls, then asked them to demonstrate a couple moves so the rest could follow their lead. When an assailant strikes, cross your wrist to trap his arms. Jump, and boom! Boom. Yeah, boom! Did I do that right, Jamie? Jamie? Yes, that's it. Don't be lazy, okay? Then I got back to scrolling on my phone and saw that Betty had gone public about the incident. Even someone as indifferent as me could see how much sympathy and attention Betty got after that. Her story's influence went beyond the internet when our school launched a No Bullies Allowed campaign and chose her to be the spokesperson. However, they could only propose outdated and ineffective measures, like always traveling in groups, bringing pocket knives or pepper spray, or giving in to not get any serious injury. None of which really helped, and more students fell victim. A few days later, right before English class, I saw the Good Samaritan that day. He's Aaron and transferred from another school in the area. Come to think of it, he's quite a heartthrob, which got all the girls all riled up. Do you have a girlfriend? What's your type?
Sexy, cool, nerdy.
I know, nice and sweet?
Yes. Oh, Mr. Bernardi's here.
As usual, Mr. Bernardi began the lesson with a pop quiz. Today's topic was Hamlet. Okay, I knew this one.
What's the play about, Teddy? A guy named Hamlet? Good, B+. Any other idea? Jamie?
The play works on many levels. It's about Prince Hamlet's family conflict, their politics, how he can't make up his mind about duties, moral codes, and...
Stop! F. You're reading too much into it.
Well, I should have seen that coming.
You suck. What did you say, Aaron Taylor? I said, aw, shucks.
Wow, this guy's so much more than just a pretty face. When class was over, I came to thank him and even got his socials. He's a super handsome guy with a voice of an angel who defended me. I think I got, well, you know. Let's see what his social says about his type. Oh, Betty seemed to be gaining more and more support, huh? I guess people have more compassion for delicate little flowers like her. Wow, nice. I had zero chance then. Suddenly I heard a commotion outside, then peeked out to see my father dealing with rude neighbors. Man, I can't live the life of the local doormat anymore. If so, I had to change first. I can be like her. All right, starting today, call me Dainty Jamie? Ugh, I'll figure something out. But my life will surely be different. Aaron, your girlfriend is coming. I'll certainly need a new look to go with my new personality. The Princess Diary would be the perfect tutorial. First, I have to look like a princess. So I replaced my sneakers, hoodies, and t-shirts with high heels, short skirts, and all things pink and glittery. Of course, cute accessories are a must. Ting! But it would be lying if I said this new style was comfy. This morning, my long hair got caught in a keychain on my backpack. It was impossible to untangle, so I had to cut off a chunk of hair. You know what they say, pain is beauty. I went to school in my new style, and the moment I set foot in the building, people stared at me like I was an alien. Then the mocking began. Look who's talking! Last time I saw something like you, I flushed. Oh dear, that wasn't very ladylike. So I decided to change my tone to sound posh and even learned how to sit, stand, and pick up dropped items elegantly. Greetings, Mrs. Allen. Can I have mashed potatoes and beans, please?
What's that? Speak up, young lady.
I'm sorry. Can someone be a doll and help, please? But they just looked at me all judgy. Stay calm. A lady doesn't panic. I slowly sat down with poise, but someone already picked up my tray. Aaron! He's freaky fast. Being a helpless pretty girl sure is nice.
Jamie, you look different.
I've always looked like this, silly. Since then, we started having lunch together. I felt safe around him because he's new here and didn't know about my past. We gradually became close as we've had many things in common, like martial arts. I really wanted to let my geek flag fly high, but had to hold back. Still, it didn't mean he's used to the current me. Like, he'd not understand that I was trying to eat gracefully.
Are you a slow eater or just picky? Give it to me.
I was saving it for last. Also, he often brought me honey and lemon candy. Sweet! But that's because he thought my soft voice came from a sore throat. Aaron, I was looking for you everywhere. Come, I want to show you something cool.
We're kinda in the middle of something.
Why are you always with her? Let me tell you, her father... Come here, you have to see this.
What is it?
Flowers. Yeah, flowers. Aren't they pretty?
You're weird. Like, in a good way, but weird. Are you trying to hide an earth-shattering secret? Like your true self? Am I wrong?
No way. What else can I be but myself? You watch too many movies. To keep up my fair lady appearance, I shouldn't come to the Fight Girl Club so frequently. Since the principal wasn't breathing down my neck anymore, I hadn't been there for the past 2 weeks. Meanwhile, I tried to talk to Aaron more often. He's very nice. A bit too nice, as in he literally took pleasure in helping others. Today, although we're supposed to walk home together, Aaron canceled at the last minute cause...
So sorry. Betty needed someone to walk her home, and today none of her friends could.
How are you always in the mood to help people?
Dunno. It's fun, I guess.
Aren't you afraid your kindness will be taken for granted, or getting you into trouble one day? Like well, never mind. Have fun.
I'll make it up to you. Bye.
I'm fine with that. It just stings because it's Betty. Actually, Aaron wouldn't think twice about assisting a complete stranger, let alone a classmate. Was I even a little bit special in his eyes? I want to come clean to him, yet I'm afraid that will only make him distrust me and leave me like everybody else. This uncertain hell is driving me insane. I'll ask him out to clear things up. Ugh, just a dumb text from my self-defense club. Delete! Eek! He said yes! That's a good sign. Sunday came, and after we bought our tickets, we saw a girl struggling with dozens of grocery bags. Oh, that's Pooja from school. Aaron hurried over to help with the bags. We had some time before the movie started. We walked her back and found out that she's volunteering at a soup kitchen for homeless people. Thanks so much. You two are here anyway. Want to join us? We always need some help here. What? Free labor?
Absolutely, no
sorry.
problem.
We got tickets to a movie, right, Aaron?
I don't think it's too late to change our plan, though.
I had to pull him aside immediately. Aaron, what if we're too helpful so they keep us here until late? If not, we'll get yelled at. And if we leave early, they'll have something else to say. I don't know. Maybe this isn't a good idea.
Come now, so complicated. Just flat out say you don't want to help.
Don't be ridiculous. It's our date, and we shouldn't let it go to waste.
I'm ridiculous? Okay, but at least I'm not selfish and conceited. You don't want to feed the homeless? I'll stay and give them a hand. You can leave.
Hey, what's the matter with you? Don't think you're better because you help everyone you see.
Oh, so now we're being honest? Fine, my turn. I didn't listen to what everyone said about you and still became your friend. Turns out they're all right after all. Like father, like daughter.
What are you talking about? You knew everything?
Yeah, I'm not dumb, and that's not all. Now I finally believe my dad died in that fire because of your dad's negligence.
Then he stormed off, leaving me stunned. I could see he rolled up his sleeves and began happily working, while I was left out here with my heart broken. Hey, what's the matter with you? Don't think you're better because you help everyone you see.
Oh, so now we're being honest? Fine, my turn. I didn't listen to what everyone said about you and still became your friend. Turns out they're all right after all. Like father, like daughter.
What are you talking about? You knew everything?
Yeah, I'm not dumb, and that's not all. Now I finally believe my dad died in that fire because of your dad's negligence.
His dad was among the victims in that fire? My feet wouldn't move, and my muscles were constricting from shock for a while before I could drag my heavy heart and crumbled thoughts to somewhere else. I'm sorry about his dad, but I'm in pain too. It's not just because the boy I like was cruel to me, but also because, as it turns out, he's no different from everyone else. Devastated, I unknowingly brought myself to the gymnasium. Wait, my self-defense club? They're still practicing? Wow, hard at work already. Amazing. Shut up! Why are you even here? Then their insurrection began. Just quit already. We're not here to entertain you. Your careless, irresponsible behavior has said enough. You don't even know why we need to learn how to defend ourselves. You never cared about us in the first place. Don't even bother pretending. Leave. Okay, fine. I won't stay where I'm not welcome. Bye, then. Home at last. I was gonna take my frowny face straight to my room, but couldn't hide it from Dad.
Sweetie, why the long face?
How are you so cheery all the time?
Life's beautiful, and we get to see it every day, no?
I hate it. I hate to see you get all the blame while doing nothing but good deeds. How everyone's mocking us. But above all, I hate how you always have that happy-go-lucky smile, even though people treat you like the butt of their jokes. I hate trying to be a hero like you said, but I can't stand pretending to be weak either. I hate everything!
Honey, they might think the worst of us, but that doesn't mean we have to be so pessimistic and indifferent. Then we're no better than them, aren't we? You can't change the way people see you or be anyone but yourself. Perhaps one day we might manifest something good to the universe. But first, we need to be good people.
His words actually woke up something in me. Was I wrong about everything all this time? In the following days, Aaron and I ran into each other a couple of times, but we both avoided eye contact. That one's a dead end, but a boy is not my biggest problem. Now I want to flip the script and start over. But from where? I know. But wow, everyone immediately got their torches and pitchforks ready at the sight of me. Good afternoon, y'all. What you said the other day got me thinking, and I'm sorry. I want to help, for real. Of course, only if you want me to. Come on, I'm already at the bottom. Give me a chance to go up, huh? No loss for you anyway. They seemed convinced, so I got down to business right away. What? You're already cowering? I only swung my arm. Looks like what they've been practicing wasn't working, so I decided to put them on a strength-building regimen alongside one-on-one sessions with me. On top of that, I built each member's profile detailing their weaknesses and how they should be improved. Most of us aren't tall or athletic. How about you show us how to use weapons like pocket knives, nunchucks, and axes? Seriously? Sorry, but swords are only as good as the women who wield them. You'll most likely hurt yourself if you carry those things around. So I came up with the idea of teaching them self-defense using familiar items like backpacks, pens, and heels. And this look? I actually wanted to get rid of it, but I decided to keep it up since this is what most girls wear. This should show them how to protect themselves in the most unexpected situations. Danger won't wait for you to change into appropriate attire. Besides, I'm totally serving this look.
Then more students joined our club. I see geeks, nerds, goth chicks, and even popular cheerleaders. What brought them here? Hazel once mentioned that they all had a reason to learn self-defense. So I decided to sit everyone down one day. Alright, no practice today. I want this club to not only empower us girls physically, but also be a safe space to, talk about ourselves and our problems. Okay, who wants to go first? I broke the ice by sharing everything that's wrong with my life, why I had such a slappable face, and all things false about my family that everybody liked to say. The girls seemed quite bewildered, then began contributing to the conversation.
Well, for me it's my mom. She got divorced recently, and now she's doing really questionable midlife crisis stuff. I mean, she can do whatever she wants, but I'm still very angry with how she's handling things. So my therapist said I should take up some physical activity to deal with my anger issue. It seems to work, so far.
I feel powerless at home too, so I thought learning how to fight would give me the strength I need to stand up against my stepdad.
Yeah, I felt helpless many times before, like whenever I reported my stalker to the police, and they said there's nothing they can do. But practicing with you guys made me feel strong and confident, no matter how brutal it can be.
Totally. With what we learned here, I felt like one day we could both reverse stalk our stalkers.
Jeez.
I only wanted to take advantage of these poor girls at the beginning to get out of trouble, and almost abandoned them. What was I thinking? And since then, they'd all got stronger and seemingly more confident through each lesson. Every girl had several bruises, but the brightest smiles were always on their faces. We must have looked like the happiest thugs. One day, when I was enjoying my meal, Betty came and said she wanted to have a word with me in private. I put aside our differences, but then she said this.
I'll cut to the chase. Your violent little club is getting more popular and taking away people's attention from what's truly important. My campaign.
I don't follow. We exist in completely different spaces. I have nothing to do with your campaign.
You know what I'm talking about. All that everyone cares about now is your girl fight club. I'm just concerned that you're planting seeds of violence in other students' minds. That's all.
Gosh, I don't need to explain to you, of all people, what I'm doing. If you're worried nobody cares about you anymore, maybe, just maybe, they're tired of your sob story and useless anti-bullying measures. Ugh, you're wasting my time. However, I couldn't have anticipated disaster struck right that evening.
Another person was complicit that day, but I was hesitant to point her out because I feared her retribution. But now your love and support have given me strength to do the right thing. That girl was none other than Jamie. She even blatantly lied to the principal that she had self-defense club. But they're nothing but a bunch of thugs in disguise. I am truly terrified for myself and everyone else in this school.
Members of the club were on my side. Still, most people chose to believe Betty, including the teachers. And so they shut us down. Am I on the right track after all? Or should I just return to my old, quiet life? The next day, the whole club came to comfort me.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Never mind her. She already had her army of simps go to war with Team Betty. But from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. I couldn't have done anything without you guys. It's my fault the club shut down.
Jamie, we became fighters thanks to you. You're a real one.
I was walking home, feeling much better than yesterday, when I saw the last person I want to see, Betty, who's with her bullies? Betty, you okay?
Never better. See, I'm with my friends.
What? Didn't these guys beat you up?
We buried the hatchet. Friends for life, right guys?
You talk too much. What now? What's the problem? Aaron came flying out of nowhere and pulled me out. Then they tried to pick a fight with him, but Betty prevented it. Then we walked together, no word spoken. When a thank you was on the tip of my tongue, he already went in another direction. Later that day, I found out that Betty owed money to them and almost couldn't pay them back, hence their intimidation. Now that the issue was settled, they're back to being friends. Their friendship made me cringe. I shouldn't bother myself with it since I already knew Betty wasn't all pure and innocent then. The next morning, Betty dragged me aside as soon as I came to school. Looking for your favorite scapegoat? Where are your bestie assailants? Shockingly, she wanted to apologize.
Jamie, I promise it won't happen again.
She even said that it was Aaron who told her to change her ways. Welp, it didn't matter anymore.
Pretty please don't tell anyone about this. My parents would shave all my hair and use my shiny bald head as a mirror if they knew.
Whatever, I'm no snitch. But how long do you think you can get away with this? People's sympathy will run out one day. Are you gonna ask them for another punch to have another sob story? Then I stormed off, leaving her frozen on the spot. It's Monday, meaning I was supposed to attend club meeting, but now that we're banned, I don't have anything better to do. So bored.
Suddenly, I saw smoke rising from afar. That direction. It's the gym! I acted on instinct and ran towards it. As I approached the fire, I realized it was much bigger than I thought. Worse, I heard someone scream for help from inside. So I hit the fire alarm, but as soon as it sounded, memories of the fire in the past and my dad came rushing to me. It's keeping my feet rooted there. At this point, many people heard the alarm and came to help extinguish the fire.
What you standing there for?
Give us a hand! Ayo, did she cause this?
Out of the way! Useless!
Images of Dad's scar filled my head. I just want to explode. Is history repeating itself? Are people gonna die?
Jamie! Jamie!
Jamie! I was awoken by the calls of my friends from the club. They're helping too, but this much water and sand couldn't do much to this ever-growing fire. In a split second, I tore out a piece of my shirt, dipped it in some water, then wrapped it around my face before running straight inside the burning building as everyone else gasped at me. The black smoke covered my field of vision. I dashed further inside and showed any survivor I saw the way out. Shockingly, I found Betty, shivering and cowering. I called out her name a couple of times, but no response. Without thinking, I carried her out in my arms. As soon as we got out, I saw Aaron trying to tell me something, but I didn't hear a single word as I was fixated on looking for more survivors in there. Suddenly, fire truck sirens took me out of it and I stopped. Firefighters are here! My dad's here! They swiftly took care of the rest. But my dad's uniform caught on fire, which had to be taken off. That's when he inadvertently revealed his scarred arm. When the fire had been put out and no one was left inside, I rushed over to give my dad the biggest hug. Dad, you're all right! I finally did it! Then some townsfolk came to pick up their kids, and I saw them looking at my dad's scar with this stupid, aghast look on their faces. What are you looking at? Y'all thought a firefighter's body's flawless? This? It's what he got for trying to save you and your family in that tragic fire and all these years. He should have been praised as your hero, but instead, all he got in return is deformity and your ungrateful ass. Dad had to hold me back to stop any further colorful words from coming out of my mouth. Poof. They need to hear that. It took a while before a few people approached my dad, asked him how he was doing, and apologized for mistreating him, as well as disregarding his contribution to the town. Hey, my emotional outburst helped. After that incident, I spent a few days at home. The girls told me that Betty admitted to setting the gym on fire so she could play the victim and be the center of attention once again. Betty only contacted Aaron because she wanted him to save her specifically, but the fire was unexpectedly huge and spread like, well, wildfire. Tragically, Aaron didn't make it in time while Betty was completely unaware of other students in the gym at that time and accidentally trapped them. There's going to be dire consequences for her no matter what. That evening, I answered the door to see a familiar face.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you holding up? I was so worried.
Wait, let's go somewhere else.
I didn't take Betty's text seriously until I heard you running into the fire. Please forgive me. I'm sorry about the last time we spoke. I was so angry I said all those wrong things about you.
I'm very sorry about your dad as well.
It's okay. And my family and I should have been thanking your dad and his team. Without them, my mother wouldn't have been around now.
That's all right. I wasn't being completely honest either. The truth is,
I know. Ever since the day we fell out, I kept an eye on you still. I know that's creepy, but I just wanted to know how you're doing. Believe it or not, I secretly came to your self-defense club a couple times and saw what good deeds you're actually doing. And now, would you give me the chance to get to know the real you?
Bro, you're sure you want to know me? I've seen that you're more than willing to ditch me and help just about everyone in need, and I'm tired of that. Besides, aren't you into nice, cute, petite girls?
Says who? Is this about what I said in English class? It's just so the girls would stop. And the other thing, guess it was a bit misleading, but that's how I instinctively act to everybody because I thought it's what any good person would do. When you finally become my girlfriend, you'll get the special Aaron Taylor treatment.
That's still not my biggest achievement this school year. I got to be friends with these amazing people. And even though I'm not a true hero, I found a way to help them overcome some of their problems. Would you believe it? I was really happy I did that, and I would be happy to do it again.
So, this is the Roomba Club. Why isn't the guy here? Was I wrong? No way, I did lots of digging. Oh, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not a stalker. I'm just doing my job. It's obvious that there's something fishy about this case. Want to know the details? Please like and subscribe. I'm Faith McKinnon, the only daughter of a private detective. That probably sounds cool, but my dad is actually really carefree. Maybe that's why he only took on enough trivial cases to make ends meet. I haven't always paid much attention to his business, though. I mainly focus on studying, so our future can be brighter.
What? What are you saying, sir? Yeah, I'm in. You can count on me. Faith, I just got a big job.
A customer had paid him handsomely to investigate this case. A girl named Selena Martinez just had an accident and fell into a coma. But there was no CCTV on the road, and the heavy rain erased all traces. The police couldn't find any evidence, so they concluded that it was a traffic accident. But Mr. and Mrs. Martinez didn't believe it and suspected her boyfriend, Oscar Davis, was involved. Thus, they had to rely on my detective dad.
Haha, looks like folks need my help after all. Me, McKinnon, can solve any case.
Conveniently, those two kids go to the same school as me, so Dad asked me to keep an eye on them. Okay, nothing complicated, so I agreed. That's why I'm here. I heard Oscar loved Roomba and never missed a class, but why hasn't he shown up today? I was looking around when a hand patted my shoulder.
What are you doing? Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
Oh my, am I dead? 'Cause I swear I'm seeing an angel. Look at his eyelashes framing those beautiful hazel eyes in that super touchable long dark hair.
Hey, you still with me? Are you here to join our Roomba squad, princess? If so, you're looking at the right person. I'm Zane, head of this club.
Yes, I'm Faith. I love Roomba. Well, joining this club will surely help me with my mission, won't it? But I knew absolutely nothing about this Roomba dance thingy. Gosh, how could they dance with those heels so freaking high? I tried to copy other students, but my legs were just not listening, causing me to stumble. And luckily, Zane caught me just in time.
Are you good? Let me show you some basics before you hurt yourself. Or someone else.
Then Zane took me aside, and we started to dance with his arms wrapped around my waist. With each twirl, I felt like he was pulling me closer and closer, and I couldn't stop blushing. Was Roomba supposed to always be like that? Then our eyes met. His gaze was so soft and dreamy and angry. Zane stopped in the middle, and his face darkened. Right at the door was Oscar. Zane immediately dragged him outside. I sneakily followed them to see they were quarreling at a corner.
Drop your act already.
Let me see Selena, please.
You have some nerve asking to meet my sister after what you did to her.
How many times do I need to tell you that I had nothing to do with her accident?
Keep lying all you want, but I'll find evidence. You'll soon have to pay for what you did.
Zane was Selena's brother? That meant we were on the same boat. The investigation could have been going much more smoothly if I'd known this earlier. I went straight to Zane, saying, Selena Martinez was your sister?
Yeah, why are you...
I'm helping to investigate her accident.
Oh, really?
Zane was surprisingly cooperative in helping me answer some questions for the investigation.
My parents just can't help but suspect Oscar had something to do with it. He's kinda obsessed with our Selena. She'd rejected him many times, but he wouldn't stop pining for her, and eventually she gave in. But that only kicked in his possessive behaviors. He bought gifts and controlled what she wore every day. He followed my sister everywhere, even to the restroom to make sure she's safe, and climbed to her window to check her sleep every night.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Selena was having too much and decided to end things with him for good. But after that, she was found unconscious in an accident. It can't be a coincidence. I'm sure Oscar's obsession has turned into rage.
Wow, it really was impossible to judge someone just on appearances. Oscar looked so nice, yet... To gather more information, I asked around about Oscar and Selena. Selena used to be kind of mean, but ever since she and Oscar became an item, she's like another person. Much kinder and nicer, I would say. Yeah, they were really sweet together. I was surprised to hear she broke up with him. Huh? Sweet? Are they talking about another Oscar? I even went to Oscar's neighbors and discovered that his mom was the head of the Medical and Pharmaceutical Association. All I heard were good things about him.
Oh, that sweet boy. He always runs right out to help me carry groceries. He even gave me his phone number to call him when I need help. Oscar is a real good kid. Every year on Halloween, he decorates a whole haunted house for the neighborhood kids and stays out there until every last trick-or-treater leaves with a sack full of candy.
Things are getting way confusing. It's like Zane and the others were describing two totally different people.
Why are you following me?
I looked up to see Oscar. I'm not. I tried to run, but he grabbed me.
Please don't lie to me. I know why you're here, and I want to cooperate. Because I too want this all to be over quickly. Only then can I see Selena again.
Okay, I should give him a fair chance and make my own judgments about this guy. And I'm also really curious to hear his side of the story.
I used to be picked on pretty often, until Selena started standing up for me. She was truly my knight in shining armor. And that's when I knew I'd fallen in love with her. And she actually liked me back. And that's when she came to do charity work with me for the first time, and we happened to meet in the Roomba Club and become partners. We were happy in love. Selena even bought me gifts and planned surprise dates. Things were good. Great, actually. But suddenly she broke up with me, then got into the accident. I just really want to see if she's okay.
This guy seemed very sincere. A bit silly, even. He couldn't be the one who could scheme such a hateful plan, could he? But why does nothing match what Zane told me earlier? One of them must be lying. But who? Things were becoming perplexing. But that evening, when I got home, my dad told me that he had found a dash cam from another car which filmed the moment Oscar's car hit Selena's.
Case closed. Who would have thought a $15,000 case like this could be solved so easily? I'm such a genius. With this pace, I'd be a millionaire before you knew it.
Huh? That's it? No, something didn't add up here. My gut was telling me that Oscar the simp couldn't be the cunning and ruthless mastermind behind all this. The next morning, I was startled by Dad's loud excitement.
I'm on a headline, baby!
Turns out the video had spread like wildfire on the news. But that's not all. Another part of the story was also revealed. Oscar, Dr. Davis's son, loved Selena Martinez but was rejected, so he threatened to tell his mom to cancel their new medicine's license. Selena still resisted him, so her family lost the medicine's permit and suffered great damage. Meanwhile, Oscar got so mad that he caused the accident. So there's some family conflict involved too, not just teenage love? Seeing loads of angry comments, I was so worried that I immediately ran to the Roomba Club to find Oscar. There, I found Zane grabbing Oscar's collar.
I always know it's you. How are you gonna deny it now?
Wait, stop! Upon seeing me, Zane loosened his fists.
You're gonna pay for this. I swear I didn't do it, Faith. I don't know where that video came from. Please help me.
I also felt things couldn't be that simple, so I came home to check the video again. Finally, I found something that was off. If the impact happened at that angle, Selena's left arm would have been injured, but it wasn't according to the hospital's record. Dad, I think the video of the accident was fabricated. We need to confirm Selena's condition before making any conclusion.
Well, this case is already closed. The Martinez family asked me to wrap it up as soon as the evidence was discovered.
Why such a hurry? They spent all this money but didn't want a thorough investigation? The next day, I decided to investigate myself. I disguised as a nurse to sneak into the hospital, but Selena's room was strictly guarded. I had to find another entrance. Huh? Is that Zane? Right then, he saw me and immediately dragged me into a corner, signaling me to keep silent.
Be careful, or they will see you.
What are you doing sneaking around?
I'm afraid my parents might be doing something sketchy.
Explain.
I've heard them talking with the press to keep posting those defaming articles about Oscar's family. And they even mentioned something about revenge.
So you followed them here?
Suddenly, I was forbidden from seeing Selena as the doctor said she needed absolute peace to heal. But it feels like my parents don't want me to talk to her. Come to think of it, it's also them who made me suspect Oscar from the beginning.
That's what I thought. But why should I believe you when you've been saying awful things about Oscar? Maybe you're working with them.
Last semester I studied abroad. That's when Selena and Oscar started dating. All the things I knew about them were told by my parents. Actually, believe me or not, I'm going to find out the truth with or without your help.
Seeing his determined attitude, my heart softened a little. If it's true that your parents were up to something bad, are you still willing to expose them?
If so, what they did is just wrong, and I need to know why.
Right at that moment, I got a call from Dad.
Well done, Faith. You were right. That video was fabricated.
I believe you, Zane! 3 days later, it was reported that Oscar's mom resigned due to the recent scandal. Then Dad showed up in an unusually neat suit.
You better go get ready, kiddo. The Martinezes invited us for dinner to celebrate solving the case. I think they might throw in a bonus on top of the initial amount.
My dad is quite the performer, isn't he? All right, time to solve this case. At the dinner, everyone seemed extremely happy, especially Mr. Martinez.
Thank you so much for giving us the closure we needed for our daughter's accident. No, I have to thank you for giving me such a big case. Now people will line up to have me solve their cases. Haha.
They kept toasting, laughing, and talking happily like two old friends. Then Mrs. Martinez went to get some more food for them. I turned to see Zane looking a bit sad.
I didn't expect Dr. Davis could stoop this low. She got what she deserved. How dare she say our medicine was of poor quality and rejected the license? She almost ruined our plan to make loads of money. What a wet blanket. Luckily, we got quick-witted to stage a fake accident to frame her boy.
Hearing that, Mrs. Martinez quickly ran to cover her husband's mouth, but couldn't make it in time.
Aha! So you admit everything. I recorded them all. This will be evidence to expose you in court.
We admit nothing. Check your recording.
When I turned it on, it was all static. We couldn't hear anything.
Unfortunately for you, this is the family business room, equipped with signal jammers and anti-eavesdropping devices, so you have no evidence.
Mom, stop it. Right then, Oscar walked in, with Selena on a wheelchair.
Why are you here? You're supposed to be at the hospital resting.
All thanks to my mom. She knows someone in the hospital and could help Selena get out. Or else, how long were you planning to keep her locked up? It turns out Selena had woken up a week ago, but her parents kept it a secret. That's why Zane wasn't allowed to visit her out of fear that everything would come to light. Mom, that's not enough for you? You asked me to pursue Oscar at first to get close to his mom, but when the plan didn't work out, you then forced me to break up with him. But I've already fallen in love with Oscar for real. It broke my heart to do so. That night, I was driving in a totally lost mind and crashed into a tree. But who knows, my own cruel parents would use their daughter's accident as an excuse to frame Oscar and his family.
Oh, honey, you're saying this because you're not well yet.
No, we all know what you did. Just confess. Oscar and his mother are good people who don't deserve any of this. I love you guys. That's why I have to make it right.
You ungrateful little traitor. Everything we do for you. But it doesn't matter. A court needs concrete evidence, not just the words of a girl. I'm really disappointed in you guys. I hope that you would step up and take accountability. You could have gotten a reduced sentence, but I guess now we need to turn in the real evidence.
I held up the confession video of the person hired by Selena's parents to fake the dash cam. At this point, Mrs. Martinez fell to her knees, sobbing dramatically.
I paid you to find the evidence against the Davises, not against us.
Sorry, but we refuse to accept your money. We don't work for you. We work for justice.
Soon enough, Mr. and Mrs. Martinez saw their day in court for their schemes, and the Davises' name was cleared. After the sentencing, Oscar's mom approached me and my dad.
Thank you so much for fighting for the truth. You've saved our family's reputation. Our society needs more people who work and live for righteousness like you.
I owe it all to Faith. Things would not have turned out the way they did without her master plan. From the fake resignation to Selena's hospital escape, and even arranging a play to expose the Martinezes.
It's true that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, isn't it?
She's about to surpass my skill.
I'll let you keep this for a few more years. It's true that I hadn't been interested in my father's job before, but this case made me realize my passion for solving crimes. So, we'll see. Now all the crazy things finally settled, Oscar and Selena are back together after everything they've gone through. They deserve to be happy with each other. Is this just me, or is their story really similar to Romeo and Juliet? Except in the end, they're happy together. Suddenly, Zane walked up behind me.
Wanna dance?
Are you sure? You're the one who said I was a danger to myself and others.
Then it's a risk I'm willing to take.
Hi, I'm Diane, and I'm 20 years old. I fell in love on the first day of college. I'm not even joking. I'd promised my mom I'd focus on my studies and wouldn't fall for any boys. But one look at Brett, and I broke that promise immediately. We had an instant connection, and pretty soon we were spending every waking moment together. I can't help but think that if I hadn't met him, maybe I'd never have found out the dark secret my mom and aunt had been hiding from me my whole life. You see, my mom raised me alone, and I had no idea who my dad was. Let's just say it seemed like my mom got around, so she really didn't want me to get into the same kind of situation as her. I decided to keep Brett a secret. She didn't need to know, right? When I went home for Christmas vacation, I missed Brett so much, but I couldn't let my mom know about him. So I'd wait until she went to bed before calling him. One night, she caught me though. She must have gone to the bathroom, and suddenly I heard footsteps. She was standing right there. I didn't know how much she heard, but I was so embarrassed. I thought she'd grab the phone from me and tell me off, but instead, she just walked back to bed. It was so weird. In the morning, she was sitting at the kitchen table grinning and said, "Well, who is he then? Invite him over. Don't be shy." I couldn't believe it. I thought she'd freak out, but instead she wanted to meet him. She suggested we invited him over for dinner, as my aunt was also coming over that night. My mom and my aunt were like best friends and had basically raised me together, so I was excited for her to meet Brett too. He took the bus that afternoon, as he was desperate to see me, and my mom said he could stay in the spare room. As soon as my mom saw Brett, she grinned at me and whispered how handsome he was. Then we sat down to dinner and started chatting. My mom had so many questions for him, and it was a bit awkward. She wouldn't shut up, and it made her seem so nosy. She asked where he'd grown up, and what his mom and dad did, and even asked for their names and stuff. Meanwhile, my aunt just sat there quietly, and then at one point she got up from the table and went out into the garden. My mom ran after her, and Brett looked at me worried. I had no idea what was wrong. 10 minutes later, my mom came in and her expression had totally changed. She went from being warm and friendly to totally strict and cold. She looked at both Brett and I and said she decided I was far too young to have a boyfriend staying over, and then asked Brett to leave. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was 20 years old. She was being so rude. So I said to her, "Mom, why? Please, can he just stay?" I was almost begging her, but she looked so serious and firm, and I knew she wasn't going to change her mind. Brett was even more shocked than me. I mean, it had been my mom who'd invited him in the first place, and now there she was, shooing him away. He quickly grabbed his stuff and ordered a taxi. I was so upset I didn't even say bye to him. I just burst into tears and felt so angry at my mom. Right after Brett left, I ran upstairs and locked myself in my room, and my mom stood on the other side begging to speak to me. She said there was something she needed to tell me. I refused to come out and instead sat on the floor on the other side of the door. I could hear my mom crying and knew this was serious. She said the reason she didn't want Brett to stay was because he was actually my half-brother. No, I didn't understand. I asked if my dad was also Brett's dad, and then I got angry. I thought my mom hadn't known who my dad was. I opened the door and I was about to start shouting at her when she told me what was really going on. I'd been adopted. Well, actually, I'd been kidnapped by my aunt when I was born. It's a long, shocking story, but basically my biological parents were this rich couple, but they were struggling to get pregnant. My biological mom had a best friend called Ashley, who she told everything to, but Ashley secretly had a crush on my dad. She seduced my dad until one night they slept together, and Ashley ended up getting pregnant. My dad was so happy and promised Ashley he'd help raise the baby, but that he couldn't divorce my mom. This made Ashley angry. She wanted my dad all to herself and wanted their kid to become the heir to his company. At the same time, my biological mom fell pregnant with me, and when my dad found out, he quickly forgot about Ashley and tried to forget about the mistake he'd made that one night. This, of course, made Ashley even more angry, but she still pretended to be friends with my mom. When my mom went into labor with me, my dad was away on a business trip, and Ashley paid someone to sneak into the hospital and kidnap me. That person turned out to be my aunt. She did it because she was desperate for cash, so she snuck in, dressed up as a nurse, and in the middle of the night stole me away. But she wasn't cold-blooded enough to just throw me away or leave me at an orphanage. So she took me to her sister's place and told her that she'd found me abandoned on the street. Her sister, who had never wanted to get married but had always wanted to be a mom, was so happy and decided to raise me. But then a few days later, it was all over the news, a missing baby. There was an exact description of what I'd been wearing, and even a photo of me just after I'd been born. There was no denying that I was the missing baby. My new mom confronted my aunt about it and found out the truth. My aunt said there was no way they could return me as my aunt had already spent all the money she'd been paid to cover some debts. And she didn't want to go to prison, so they decided to raise me as if I really was their own. that secret would still have been hidden from me if I hadn't brought Brett home. My mom was so shocked that I'd brought my dad and Ashley's son into her home and introduced him to her as my boyfriend. As my mom told me all of this, I just sat there frozen. This was absolutely unbelievable. I felt sick. They'd lied to me all these years, and even worse, my boyfriend was actually my half-brother. My whole life was one big mess. I hate you, Mom, and I hate you too, I said to my aunt. You helped that evil monster Ashley get what she wanted, and now you've ruined my life and taken away my family. My mom reached out to hug me, but I didn't want her near me. We both just sat there crying. She tried to calm me down and get me to relax. Then she sighed and said, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Your whole life, I've been trying to make it up to you. I thought my love for you would be enough. As for Ashley, well, I heard she didn't get what she wanted in the end. Wait, why? I don't understand. But she successfully kidnapped me, right? I wiped my tears and looked at her. Yes, sweetie, but her main goal was to become your dad's wife. But that obviously didn't happen. Then she continued. After my aunt had kidnapped me, Ashley had given birth to Brett, and was so happy thinking that my parents no longer had a baby, and that my dad would now leave my mom and go live with her. But that's not what happened. Yes, their dear daughter was taken away, but my dad still stayed with my mom and loved her even more. My dad didn't get together with Ashley, but apparently my dad had still been helping raise Brett until now. There's definitely no bad blood between them because I've heard Brett talk about his dad quite a lot. Now there was only one thing for it. I had to find my biological parents and find out the rest of the story. They deserved to know I was alive. But now, what would I do about Brett? I'd have to break up with him somehow. Hi, it's me, Diane again. In the first part of my story, I've told you about how I found out my boyfriend Brett was actually my half-brother when I once brought him home to introduce him to my mom, who also wasn't even my real mom. I was seriously upset with my mom and my aunt. I loved them both so much, but they've been lying to me my whole life. Imagine how hurt I must have been. Now with the fact that my dad was also Brett's dad, of course it was wrong to keep dating him. So one day we met on our college campus, and I told him I wanted to break up with him. It was so horrible to break his heart like that, but the truth would be much, much worse. Part of me really wanted to tell him because then I could meet my real parents, but then Brett would really suffer. Obviously, Brett didn't take the breakup well. He called me so many times and even came to my house begging to get me back. Even though he knew my mom didn't want him there, I completely avoided him, as I felt like if I saw him, I'd just want to be with him again. I ended up taking a semester off college to sort my head out. It wasn't just to avoid Brett, though. I had another reason, too. I noticed that my biological parents' company was hiring a finance intern. I discovered this when I was Googling them one day, and I realized I had to apply. Well, I got the job. I was so nervous to meet my parents, and on my very first day, my manager introduced me to my dad. I had to try and act as normal as possible, just like any other employee, but inside I was screaming, wishing that I could just tell him who I really was. A few days later, I finally met my mom. My colleague told me that sometimes she would come and bring her husband lunch, and as soon as I saw her, I started shaking. She handed my dad his lunch and gave him a peck on the cheek, and they looked so sweet together. I couldn't stop staring at her. And as she left, she glanced at me and smiled. Suddenly, I felt so emotional, as if I'd lost something that I'd never had. I ended up running to the bathroom and crying in secret. It was just so overwhelming. When my birthday rolled around, my colleagues organized a small birthday party for me at the office. My mom and dad joined us to congratulate me and even sang happy birthday to me. I kept looking at my mom and noticed there were tears in her eyes. I knew that was because my birthday was the same date that she lost me, her only child. If only she knew I was standing there right in front of her. That night when I got home, I saw that my mom and aunt had also prepared a surprise birthday for me. It made me even more emotional because I thought back over all the years. It didn't matter how busy they both were. They always threw me a party. Inside, I felt like I was going crazy. I felt so torn between emotions for both my biological and adoptive family. I don't know why, but I decided that was the right moment to tell my mom and aunt about my decision to meet my real parents. Don't worry, I'll never leave both of you. And Aunt, I'll never tell them you were the kidnapper, I said. After that, both my mom and aunt were crying and thanked me for promising not to leave them, and even offered to help me get my parents back, which just made me cry too. You're probably wondering about Brett. Well, one day I was in the elevator, and all of a sudden the doors opened, and Brett was standing right there with my dad. I wanted to run away, but I had to face him. I quickly said, "Oh, hey, long time no see, Brett. I work here now. What are you doing here?" My dad looked at us confused, and I pretended not to know that the two of them were father and son. So he explained, "Diane, this is my dad. You must have known him from working together. Dad, this is my, ex-girlfriend Diane. I've mentioned her to you," he said. Then my dad complimented me and said I was a great girl at work and that he was sorry it hadn't worked out for us. Brett looked at me sadly then. I told him I had work to do and rushed off. You see, I was solely focused on revealing myself to my parents and didn't want anything to distract me, but it was going to be tough now that my dad knew I was Brett's ex. But thankfully, my aunt had found out something about Ashley that I could use. That night, my aunt came to my room and told me that she'd been researching Ashley. She was afraid that Ashley would start bothering me if she found out I was trying to get back to my family. Turns out my aunt was friends with a close friend of Ashley, the same friend who helped Ashley hire my aunt to kidnap me. So, my aunt met up with her to ask about Ashley, and she told my aunt that Ashley was married and had a daughter. As for her son, Brett, ever since he was a child, she'd just given him to his dad's family, aka my parents. So, then my aunt went to Ashley's house. She spotted her going somewhere with some friends and followed her. She overheard Ashley bragging about her daughter, and then her one friend said, "Oh, Ashley, you're so lucky to have two amazing kids." But Ashley just laughed and said, "Oh, Brett, that boy is so stubborn. He's not like me at all. He must get his personality from his dad, whoever his dad might be." To be honest, till this day, I still don't know and don't even bother to know. My aunt couldn't believe what she was hearing. So she asked her friend about it, and then, yes, another shocking truth came out. My dad wasn't even Brett's dad. Back then, Ashley had slept with a few random men to try and get pregnant. Then she tricked my dad into thinking the baby was his, so he'd take responsibility and divorce his wife. However, that didn't work out, but still she kept the lie going and handed Brett over to my parents just so Brett could inherit my parents' company. OMG, Ashley was such a monster. She had fooled so many people. All I wanted was to expose her, but my aunt said we didn't have valid evidence yet. So I told my aunt I'd find a way to get some DNA samples from Brett and my dad. Firstly, I asked Brett to meet at a cafe and apologized for my ghosting behavior. I hoped he'd understand and we could be on good terms. To my complete surprise, he confessed that he was still in love with me. In my mind, I thought, I still love you too. I just wished this all would be over soon and we could get back together. As we were saying goodbye, we hugged, and I quickly grabbed a hair that had fallen on his shoulder. With my dad, I managed to find some of his facial hair on his razor in the bathroom by his office. But as I walked out, I saw there was a kid's drawing on his wall that was signed by Brett. It was nothing special, but it really made me feel bad. Clearly, my dad loved Brett so much and was so proud of him. I didn't want to ruin this for them. And sure enough, the DNA results were as expected. Brett was not my dad's son. But I was so hesitant to expose the truth. I worried that my parents' feelings for Brett would change. If they knew that I were their daughter and Brett wasn't actually related to them by blood, maybe they'd just abandon him. And with me and Brett's relationship, they might never accept it. So, in the end, we might all lose someone we love. A son to them, a lover to me, and a family to Brett. If I kept everything hidden, maybe Brett and I could get back together, and I could just see my parents that way. That would be so much better for everyone, right? And it was. Brett ended up joining the company too, and I could tell he wanted to get back together, so everything was going according to plan. But one day, Brett, my dad, and I were having lunch together, and Ashley stormed in. Right in front of us, she started yelling at my dad, saying that he was mistreating Brett by only giving him an intern's job. Brett quickly jumped up and explained that it was his own choice, but Ashley was furious. She shamelessly asked my dad to give her and her new family more money, including school fees for her daughter. She was basically blackmailing my dad. She said that because in the past she'd handed over her son to my parents out of pity, that they'd lost their child, aka me, so she thought it was okay to demand more money from him. My dad didn't reply to her, and Brett was so angry and embarrassed by his mom's behavior, he told her to stop and basically dragged her out of there. I was almost as angry as Brett. How could Ashley do this? I quickly excused myself and left my dad there all alone. By a twist of fate, I bumped into Ashley again. After work, I went to buy some sunscreen, and when it was my turn to pay, I felt someone push me from behind. Then the person said, "I'm in a rush. Let me go first. I've got my money ready." And yeah, it was none other than Ashley. And the money she was holding was probably the money from my dad. Clearly, it wasn't for her daughter's school fees then. She didn't recognize me and didn't even realize she made me drop my purse. But just before I grabbed it, she got there first. And of course, there was a photo inside of me, my mom, and my aunt from when I was just a baby. As soon as she picked it up, her face changed. She seemed to realize my aunt and suddenly realized who I was. Oh my God, I never expected that I'd have to confront Ashley in this way. Would she do something bad to me now? Hi, it's me again, Diane. In part 2 of my story, I started to work in my parents' company, but I didn't have the courage to tell them the truth that I was their long-lost daughter. Fortunately, one day, I found out that Brett, my boyfriend, wasn't my half-brother, and that his mom, Ashley, had been lying this whole time. But I didn't want to unveil the truth because I didn't want Brett to get hurt. That was until the day I bumped into Ashley. In the store, I watched as she looked at the photo of me and my mom and aunt from when I was just a baby, and the look of recognition on her face as she realized my aunt was the kidnapper she hired nearly 20 years ago. She looked at me terrified. Are you that baby? Are you also the one I saw in the company earlier this afternoon? What are you doing with Brett and his dad there? Did you know everything? She shot questions at me and didn't even wait for my response. Instead, she just started yelling at me, claiming that I was plotting to get revenge on her for stealing my life away from me. I knew it was pointless trying to explain to her, so I said nothing and watched as she ran out of the store without buying anything. The next day when I got to the company, I found out that Brett had suddenly disappeared. He hadn't come to work and no one could get in touch with him. My dad told me that he'd gone to see his mom the night before, and after that he hadn't come home. Oh my God, his mom! After he'd bumped into me, had she done something bad to him? I couldn't bear it. My aunt had given me Ashley's address, so I went there to find out what was going on. As soon as she opened the door, I asked her where Brett was, and she just smirked at me and said she told him I was his half-sister and that I was preparing to kick him out of my dad's family. So she said he must have run away because he was so disgusted by me. I felt so angry I wanted to scream. Ashley was ruining everything. She even said to me, "You can't fool me. It's no coincidence that you're working in your dad's company and that you've seduced Brett. You're doing all of this on purpose." Well, that just made me even angrier. I said to her, "I know Brett isn't my dad's son. I did a DNA test, and you're lucky I haven't said anything to either of them, but I will now. You better prepare yourself for the consequences." Then I left, leaving her standing there looking angry. I went straight to my parents' house to tell them before Ashley could beat me there to tell them lies. They let me in straight away and asked me what was going on and if it was about Brett. I nodded and took out all the evidence I'd prepared. This was the moment of truth. I was so nervous. I gave them the DNA results of Brett and my dad, then the baby photo of me, and then a letter my aunt had written confessing about how Ashley had hired her to kidnap me. My parents were shocked, of course, and had a lot of questions, but soon it all became clear and we all started crying. It was just so overwhelming. I even told them about what Ashley had told Brett the night before and begged them to believe me that I didn't do it all on purpose. Of course they said they believed me, and I was relieved. But the very next day, you won't believe what Ashley told them. My parents went straight to Ashley's the next day to confront her, and she couldn't deny it because there was so much evidence. But then she told my parents that she had been feeling so guilty. So she was the one who'd gotten in touch with my aunt and encouraged her to tell me the truth and then help me find my parents. After my parents told me this, I told them Ashley was lying. She was trying to make herself look like an angel when she was none other than the devil. I suggested to my parents we sue her or something, and then a few days later, Ashley got in touch with me. She'd found out where I lived, and as soon as I let her in, she begged me not to sue her. She'd obviously already received a warning letter from my parents' lawyer. She said she had a family to care for and didn't want them to know about her past. Then she promised me she'd never come near me or my family again. I was sick of her now and asked her to leave. But then she apologized again, and she really regretted everything she'd told Brett and that she'd gone to see him. What? Where did you find him? I asked. And she told me that she found him at her parents' house, where she and Brett had lived when he was little before she'd gotten married. Oh, that's right. I knew Brett loved his grandparents so much and often visited them. I hadn't even thought that that was where he could be. Then she told me that Brett hadn't disappeared because he was disgusted by me. It was because he felt so guilty about everything that had happened. She told me she'd already gone to see him and confessed because she wanted to at least be seen as an honest mother in her son's eyes. After I told Brett that he isn't your dad's son, he got so angry and shouted at me that he hated me and never wanted to see me again. It crushed me. Ashley told me and started to cry. Please forgive me, Diane, she continued. I've lost Brett. Surely that's punishment enough for everything I've done. I thought that what I did would help Brett so he could grow up in a wealthy family. But turns out all I did was hurt the people around me, especially Brett. Can you guess what I did next? I went to meet my parents and asked them to remove all accusations against Ashley. You're probably wondering why I changed my tune so quickly. Well, I felt like enough revenge had already happened, and I couldn't bear anyone suffering anymore. All I'd ever wanted was to have a peaceful life, and revenge only satisfies us for a second. It doesn't make us happy in the long term. After that, Ashley came to apologize to my parents, and swore she'd completely disappear from our life after that. Then she gave us Brett's grandparents' address, and asked us not to put any blame on Brett. Then she left. Poor Brett. When I went to meet him, it was clear he was the one who'd been hurt most by all of this. His grandparents told me that after Ashley had revealed the truth to him, he'd lock himself up in his room and hadn't come out. I knocked on his door and begged him to let me in. After a while, he opened the door, and I couldn't believe how he looked. He'd become so skinny, and his eyes were so sad. It made me so upset to see him like this. He said to me that he blamed himself for everything, for the big lie my life had been, for my parents' loss of their only child, and for the way we'd broken up. He truly believed all of this was because of him and his mom. I hugged him and told him none of this was his fault, and I asked him to come back to my parents' house because we all missed him so much. He eventually agreed, but I could see he was nervous, especially when both my parents knew that Brett wasn't related to them by blood. But my parents welcomed him back into the house. However, I could see they were feeling a bit awkward about what to say, so I stood up and said to them, even though you guys aren't actually related, you've still been so happy together. Just like my adoptive mom, she ended up getting a daughter she might never have had, and you got a son that brought you so much joy. Sure, there were lots of lies, but we were still happy, right? Believe it or not, everything worked out after that. Brett and I went back to school, and we've both decided to go work at my parents' company after graduation. I have chosen to move in with my parents, but of course, I still visit my adoptive mom and aunt all the time. My adoptive mom understands that this is important for me, so that I can get to know my parents properly and catch up on lost time. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. I asked my parents to forgive my adoptive mom and aunt, because even though they acted wrongly in the past, they still raised me and did such an amazing job. As for Brett, he moved out into his own place, but still visits my parents all the time. However, Brett and I are no longer dating. It wasn't because of my parents, though. Let's be honest, it would just be too weird if we kept dating after everything we'd been through. It was a hard decision for us both, but it's for the best. We both need to move on so that we can have a better future. And hey, at least we can still be friends, and soon, colleagues too. Hi, I'm Olive, and at the young age of just 23, I've decided I'm totally done with love. Why, you ask? Well, because all men are jerks, liars, and fraudsters. They're like magpies. They're always looking for something new and shiny to come along. So, your boyfriend is different? Yeah, whatever. I've heard it all before. I've believed it all before too. Trust me. But as much as it sucks to hear that all guys are the same, I'll tell you why. It all began back in high school when I had a massive crush on this boy called Xavier. He was so dreamy, handsome, and talented. We bonded over our love for music, and we were in the same school choir together. Every musician has a muse, right? I believed that I was Xavier's only muse, and no one could replace me. In my eyes, he could do nothing wrong. Being around him filled me with butterflies, and I couldn't wait to go to college with him and share my life with him. But then, I caught him in the music room, kissing some other girl. I felt so broken and ran off. I just didn't understand how a boy who I thought cared about me could hurt me so badly. I turned into a zombie version of myself. I could barely eat anything, and I refused to go to school as there's no way I could face seeing him with her. In the end, my mom was so concerned about me that she let me change schools. The problem was that it might have been a new school, but it was still full of jerky guys. I started dating this boy called Justin, but then he broke up with me for my friend Rosie. I had to endure sitting alone in the canteen and watching them feed each other yogurt. Gross. I thought that going to college would change my bad luck with guys and that they'd be more grown up about relationships. But no, turns out my first college boyfriend, Thomas, was two-timing me the whole time. I was clearly a magnet for bad guys, so I decided to use it to my advantage. In fact, their bad behavior is so predictable that I've managed to build a career on it. So, after I graduated from college with a degree in business administration, I convinced my family to lend me money so I could open up my love trap business. Do you want to find out if your boyfriend's loyal or not? Well, my business can help with that. Hire me, and I can tell you if you're wasting your time with that charming guy or if he's one in a zillion. This isn't an investigation service or your regular kinda honey trap company. No. Instead, I help my clients determine if their partner is faithful or not, even before he actually has an affair with someone. Why waste your time and effort with a man who has a wandering eye? It's simple, really. If your partner likes tall brunettes, I'll send a beautiful girl fitting this description over to the place he'll be at. Naturally, I have different service packages to choose from to suit all budgets. For instance, level 1 is a brief encounter in a chosen location, while level 3 ups the stakes. Trust me, few guys can resist a super sexy woman. If your boyfriend passed our challenges, congratulations. But if he didn't, then we'd have pictures, videos, and messages to back it up. Of course, my client's discretion was the utmost importance to me. So, if questioned, then my girls would deny being hired, and who by? And they'd never go beyond the limits or allow themselves to develop feelings for the guy. As crazy as it sounds, I was doing really well with this job. Business was booming, and although seeing my clients burst into tears when I handed them pictures of their guy flirting with one of my girls wasn't fun, exposing a cheater made me feel satisfied. Then everything changed when Amy showed up at my office. She seemed like any normal client at first. She loved her boyfriend, but she just wasn't fully sure if she could trust him. A normal, boring case. At least, I thought it was until I opened up the folder with the information about her boyfriend. There, staring back at me, was a picture of Xavier. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Still, I kept my cool, smiled sweetly at Amy, and said, "Leave it to me." As if I was going to turn down this job and a large sum of money just because I had history with Xavier. Amy didn't know that, and she didn't need to. I'd send another girl along, catch him out, then voila, Amy would see what a jerk he was. Only that evening, I poured myself a glass of wine and looked through his folder. Geez, I'd forgotten just how handsome he was. By my third glass of wine, I decided that no one knew Xavier better than me. Therefore, I needed to use myself as bait and catch him out. The next evening, I put on my favorite dress and I went to the bar Amy said he'd be at. There he was, sitting at the bar and flirting with the pretty bartender. Some things never change. Then he turned and saw me. He looked shocked and said, "Olive, is that you?" "Oh, hi, Xavier," I smiled bitterly. "The last time I saw you, weren't you having fun with your new muse in the music room?" He looked confused and said he didn't understand what I was talking about. So I gave him a refresher. I thought he'd be ashamed that I caught him out as a cheater, but then he responded, "No, you've got the wrong idea. We were just practicing for the school play when she tried to kiss me all of a sudden. I bet you didn't stay until the next moment to see me push her away and tell her I already had my girlfriend. You're my one and only Olive, my muse." Suddenly, I felt so stupid that I didn't ask him directly that day and just ran away without a word. If I had, then I could have had my dream life with him and never had to experience those jerk guys. As I looked into his dreamy eyes, I realized that I still loved him, and I knew he loved me too. That Amy girl wasn't right for him. So when he asked me to go back to a hotel room with him, I didn't think twice about saying yes. After that, we started dating, and it felt good being able to trust a guy again. He was always spoiling me with romantic weekend trips and taking me out to expensive restaurants. But then one night, when I was with him at a hotel, and he was out of the room, his phone beeped, and I saw a message from Amy pop up. So when he returned, I used this as my chance to ask him, "Who's Amy?" He touched my hand and told me that she was just some silly girl he was pretending to date so her father's company would hire him for a big job. He promised that after his business contract ended, he wouldn't talk to her again. I'd failed to trust Xavier once before, and I wasn't about to do it again. Also, I need to help him with his business. So when Amy came to my office, I put on a smile and said, "Congrats, Xavier's one of the good guys." "Is that right?" She raised an eyebrow. Then she threw a pile of photos on the table between us. There were pictures of me and Xavier at the bar, at the mall, on our recent short trip away, and in a hotel foyer. Talk about a shocker. It turns out Amy wasn't as naive as I thought she was. She scowled at me and said, "Does your place even have rules for going to hotels with the customer's boyfriend to challenge him? Prepare yourself to go to courts, fraudsters." She left, leaving me trembling with fear. I was about to lose my business, and it was all my own fault. But at least I still had Xavier, the love of my life, right? I called him up in tears and expected him to comfort me. Instead, he yelled out, "You ruined it all, you loser! How dare you let Amy know about your embarrassing affair? Do you really think I'd leave a good girl like Amy for someone awful like you? Prepare for the trial, since my testimony will put you at a disadvantage." Now, I have a ruined career and a dented pride. I'm tired and exhausted, and the last remaining belief in love I had has been lost forever. But worse still, I don't trust myself. I hate the fact that I fell for Xavier's charms not once, but twice. But if I manage to get through this lawsuit without losing everything, then I want to start a new business. I don't want to be bitter forever. Instead, I want to do something with my life. Something that doesn't involve love, heartbreak, or anything in between, as I'm keeping my heart a no-go zone from now on.
Do you believe in fate? Well, I never did. I'm a 21-year-old college student studying finance and banking. So, yeah, numbers are my forte. Therefore, I'm a logical thinker. Horoscopes and chance meetings? As if. But then I met someone who changed it all. I'm Kai, by the way, and let me tell you my story. It all started one evening while studying. I got a serious craving for some Cheetos, so I went out to get some. That's when I saw a petite girl shouting at two huge guys in the park. "Hey, Bigfoot, did you really just litter? Pick it up now or I'll give you a good going over." Oh man, did this girl have a death wish? And was she drunk? The two guys didn't look happy. They approached her and one of them even raised his hand up like he was gonna hit her. But she quickly pushed his hand away, which only made him madder. Man, I didn't want to get involved in this. So I pretended I hadn't seen them and walked off. But then I was just a few steps away. I heard one of the guys scream, and the other guy said, "What the gross!" I could have just carried on walking, but nope, my curiosity got the better of me. So I turned around and saw that one guy was covered in vomit. Then the girl pointed at me and said, "Honey, there you are." Then she fainted. Huh? I didn't know her. I was staring at them, looking perplexed, when one of the dudes yelled, "Why are you still standing there? Quickly take your crazy girlfriend home if you don't want to taste my fist." I was so scared I hurried over and carried this girl off. I had no idea who she was or where she lived. This was crazy. I placed her down on a nearby bench and looked around for those guys, but luckily they'd gone. I didn't know what to do, so I left her there and walked off. But then I started to feel bad. Was I too heartless? What if something else happened to her? So I went back and gave the girl a piggyback ride back to my house. Geez, she was so much heavier than she looked. As soon as I dropped her onto the couch, her phone rang, so I answered it. "Hello?" Then the person on the other end of the line asked, "Who are you? Where's my friend?" I muttered out my address and was about to tell her to come pick up her friend, but she already hung up. Why was she so rude? I'd almost bust my back carrying her friend to safety. How annoying. This night has been far too dramatic for me, and worse still, I didn't have any Cheetos. I decided to take a shower, then get some sleep. But as soon as I stepped out of the bathroom, the doorbell rang. I presumed it must be the girl's friend, so I answered the door. Then 2 cops immediately pushed me against the wall and handcuffed me. Before I could fathom what was happening, one of them said kidnap and assault accusations had been made against me, and I was escorted to the station. What? I tried to explain what happened, but they wouldn't listen to me. That night, as I sat in the cold, uninviting cell, I found myself regretting my kindness. I didn't sleep a wink. I just hoped the next morning came quickly so that I could confront that girl about this false accusation. But before I could do that, the cops released me at dawn. The girl had sobered up and told them it was all just a misunderstanding. Well, luckily, she still remembered a bit, or else I didn't dare to imagine it anymore. I swore I would never get involved with anyone in need ever again. No good deed goes unpunished, for real. A few days later, when I was watching TV, someone knocked on my door, and you wouldn't believe it. It's the drunk girl. I looked at her suspiciously. "What are you doing here?" The girl didn't say anything. Instead, she coldly slipped past me and entered my house. Huh? What was she playing at? Then she glared at me and asked me about that night. After I told her everything that happened, she laughed. "Okay, I believe you. If I didn't, you'd know about it." She held her fist in front of me. I startled and almost fell off my chair. Then she chuckled. "Now I'm hungry. Go make your guests some food." What was with this girl? She was so direct and bold. I glanced at her and said no, but she continued. "If you don't, I'll go to the cops and change my statement." Then she got up to leave, so I quickly said, Okay, fine. Then reluctantly searched my cupboards for food. Trusted spaghetti, how you never fail me. So I prepared bolognese for us. While she was eating, she said, "I'm Nora, by the way, the best screenplay writer major in the country." She winked. She thanked me for the food, then left. Phew, that'd be it now, surely. Nope, turns out this was just the beginning. The next morning, she texted me, "Come pick me up for college ASAP, else I'm calling the cops." Was she being serious? Then she sent me another message with her address and told me to hurry up. I rushed over there and she got into my car, glared at me, and said, "You're late." And that's how I somehow became this Nora girl's servant. Her calls and messages could come at any time. And she would always force me to do things for her straight away. One time I was soaking in the bath when she texted and demanded I bring her some chocolate. Another time she called me at 2 a.m. and told me she was bored, so I had to come over and play some video games with her. I also became her unpaid Uber driver. Every day, from home to school and back. And it's inevitable that I overslept once, so Nora bombarded my phone with tons of texts and calls. I groggily answered, and she used her calling the cops threat again to force me to get there in 15 minutes. What a pain in the neck. Another time, I just stepped out of the house to go and hang out with my friends when Nora showed up and insisted that I had to take her to the cinema. She wouldn't take no for an answer, so I had to cancel on my friends and go watch some bland movie with her. Such a troublesome girl, right? But strangely, as time went by, I started to find Nora less annoying, and instead found myself smiling when she texted me or called. On the days when she didn't bother me, well, my mood seemed to dampen. Was I crazy? I mean, she was cute, very spontaneous, and, well, there was no one else quite like her. But then all of a sudden the messages and calls stopped. Did she not want me around anymore? I miss Nora. Many times I had to stop myself from calling her. I should be happy I was out of Nora's control, right? Then one day out of the blue, my phone beeped. It was Nora. Come to the Starbucks on Vincent Street. Move it. You have 5 minutes. Geez, that bossy tone again. Still, I immediately drove to the address. When I got there, I saw Nora with a guy and a girl. I walked over to them and just sat down. Nora held my arm. Honey, why are you so late? I stared at her in surprise. She smiled and turned to the other two. This is Kai, my boyfriend. What? Did I get it wrong? Did she just say I was her boyfriend? Then she said, Kai, this is my former bestie Kim and her boyfriend Greg, who's also my ex. Awkward, right? But I have you now, so we can all be friends. Reading the situation, I realized I had to go along with it. So I stroked her hair and said, yes, my honey muffin, anything you want. My cheesy lines seemed to work, as they both looked annoyed, then left. So I turned to look at Nora and stammered. Did you just say I'm your boyfriend? Nora said nonchalantly, yeah, isn't that okay? If you don't like it, forget it. Then she was about to leave. I pulled her hand and said, yes, of course, sounds great. So that's how we became an official couple. We went on a few dates, and she was her usual demanding self. Not that I'd want her any other way. Then one time, after a month of dating, Nora dragged me to a Swan Lake in a nearby park. She looked at me for a long time and then said, Kai, I'm studying abroad for a year. I leave tomorrow. I glared at her in surprise and asked why she hadn't told me sooner. She continued, I guess I didn't want to make you sad, and I don't know if your feelings are big enough, so write down your feelings for me and give them to me tomorrow. That night, I carefully wrote down all my thoughts and feelings for her. I still had hope that this 1 year of long-distance love would be over quickly. The next day, I drove her to the airport and handed her my letter. To my surprise, Nora also gave me a letter and told me over and over that I could only read it when I got home. Of course, I obeyed her. Then read it as soon as I passed my door, and whoa, I wasn't expecting this. In it, Nora confessed all this time she was just using me to get revenge on her ex, and took advantage of me to get over him. That night we had first met, she found out about him and Kim, but now she regretted how she treated me. At the end of the letter, she wrote, if fate wants us to be together, then we'll meet again one day. What? I was so shocked, so I called to tell her she didn't need to feel guilty and that I forgave her. I kept calling, but it didn't work. I also asked her friends, but no one knew how to reach her. She disappeared from all social media, and just like that, she vanished from my life. I missed Nora so much and found myself hoping that fate would reunite me with her someday. Then one time while I was surfing YouTube, this web drama called My Destiny Is Yours caught my eyes. Curious, I decided to check it out. And I watched wide-eyed as my story with Nora played out in front of me through each episode. This definitely was written by Nora. But how would she end it? It stopped at the part where the girl left and cut off all contact with the guy. An announcement popped up on the screen. The finale was launching at 9 p.m. tonight. I anxiously watched the seconds tick by. During the last episode, the two characters met up at a Swan Lake. I had a hunch, so without a second delay, I immediately ran to the Swan Lake in the nearby park. My heart flipped when I saw a girl standing there. It was Nora. Man, I ran so fast and hugged her. She hugged me back, then said, I was a little nervous you wouldn't see the movie. Then she smirked. But it doesn't matter anyway. I could have just texted you, come to the Swan Lake now, and you would have come, right? Then we both burst out laughing and continued to hug each other. Well, you see, fate brought me and Nora together, and this logic-loving skeptic is now a big believer in destiny. How about you? Have you found your destiny yet?